Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I am so excited to have on a 31-year-old from Herning, Denmark. He's played for Team Denmark in the under 18s, under 20s, and 2 times with the men in the World Championships, 2-time silver medalist in the World Juniors, folks, a Danish second league champion, a 2-time Pokal champion, and a 5-time gold helmet list. And he is also the first Danish player on the podcast. Welcome, Anders Overmark Larsen.
Thank you, Wally. Thank you for having me.
Oh, this is fun, buddy. And thanks for reaching out. I think it was Quirky put it on his story, and then you reached out, and we booked this, and we're doing it.
Yeah, that's right. I saw Quirky posting it on his story on Instagram, and I was like born a curious person. And then I saw it was done by Brent Walton. I thought, fuck, I haven't heard from you for years since we played together. And then I reached out
and here we are.
Wanted to hear what you were up to.
Well, and I wanted to hear what you're up to, but I didn't really stay in contact with many guys from that team. Daryl, I stayed in contact with. We've had a few FaceTime drinks over the years, but other than that, man, I really didn't do a very good job. So sorry.
No, me neither. So you and me both.
Yeah, but that is, I get into how we know each other, which is we won gold helmets together in 2013-14 with Sunderjuski. Yeah. So that wasn't the only time you won, though. You won 5 years in a row.
5 years in a row. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But that's yeah. So where are your 5 gold helmets now?
They are in my basement, stuck up in boxes. Oh, actually, one of them is at my dentist's place. He's
you gave it to the dentist?
Yeah, he's like discount, right?
You're getting a lot of dental work done, or what?
No, actually not. In that regard, you can't see that I played hockey actually. But no, he's a big sports fan, and the city that I'm from, Herning, is a city with a great history sports-wise, football and or soccer as you call it.
Yeah.
And hockey, obviously.
Yeah, I got that down of how big of a history they got in hockey, because it is pretty wild for a small town in Denmark.
Oh, definitely. Actually, a football guy did a documentary trying to sell it for Netflix about Herning and how they develop talents, focusing on the 5 NHL guys we have had and still have. So my golden helmet is at his place on the wall next to 5 NHL jerseys.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I only got 1 helmet, and the kid uses it for actually I got it right here. Yep, there she is. Yep.
Yeah.
It's still out in the shed from the episode with Quirky when I put it on. But yeah, we use it for a bike helmet and stuff like that. It's still a cool helmet.
Safety first, one of a kind.
And those are fun nights, when you all go out with your gold helmets on. So you did that 5 times,
5 times, yeah.
5 good nights.
5 good weeks, I would say.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're right.
You know how it works.
Yeah, when you get rolling, you get rolling. So the other thing I got down is how we know each other is, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but when I played in Denmark, and I had never been on Twitter, I never got on it till I went to Cardiff. But were you not on Twitter and you would rile people up?
Yeah, for sure. I was, yeah.
You were one of the first guys getting it going in Denmark hockey, right? Or in Danish hockey, sorry.
Yeah, probably. And before Twitter, I kind of used Facebook to do it. I used it kind of like as motivation for myself. I did perform best when I know I had people that would give me shit if I wasn't on my toes that night. So yeah, and I just had fun with it.
So what is there anything that sticks out? Anything like funny that like you wrote, or like what was like anything good that you can remember that really got you going for a game, or really got someone else going?
More or less, I like when we were going to Frederikshavn, because I don't know what's up there, but those guys definitely hated me, and I just
And
kind of
it's
like,
mainly the fans, not the players, right?
mainly the fans. Mainly the fans. I know I can't remember the guy's name from Esbjerg. That was the year you were there as well. They had this D guy. He was like a really, really tough guy. And me being a Danish guy, like, no, I wasn't
Yeah.
going in that cage with him. But he took it personally as well when I posted something on Twitter. I can't remember what it was, but he kind of
He took exception.
shut my mouth. He shut my mouth for sure. Yeah.
So did then he confront you on the ice? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was we won in Esbjerg, and then Dan Seaman, that was our coach at the time, told me that I couldn't fight that given night. Uh, and yeah, he challenged me and another guy, I can't remember his name, from Esbjerg that night. And I was kind of looking at Dan, and he was just shaking his head. And then we ended up losing that game, I think 5-3. And then with 10, 15 seconds left, he said, "Okay, you can fight now." And then I was like, "No."
It was because we didn't have enough players or something, or you just couldn't.
Well, we have players, but you know, the Danish league, like
Yeah,
it's not a tough league. We don't fight and
I
stuff
know.
like that.
Well, I thought it was interesting. I had never been on Twitter and I didn't know anything about it when we were in Denmark. I just remember you were on it, and I remember
Yeah,
but yeah, like in Cardiff, they told us like it's good for publicity. It's good for getting the brand out there. It's good for interacting with the fans, and like it was cool to start doing it. So
yeah.
I understood why you were doing it, but I never really got in any battles with anybody on it though.
I only battle with the fans, but at the end of the day, I think the baby blue army behind us, they kind of liked it. They liked the edge, let's say it that way. But I know for sure after having a couple of talks with Dan and Soren Stockfish that it's probably my fault that they got lost their hair and in Dan's case got more gray hair during the season. That was probably, I took my part of that.
I don't know what all went on, you know. I have no idea, to be honest. I was just asking about Twitter. I don't know what you did though. Okay. The other thing I got is how we know each other though is you that year I think was the first time you made the men's national team. Like you made Team Denmark that year, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, first time like all season. I had 2 years prior to that. I was brought in just for one camp as as a 20-year-old back then, kind of like to touch waters and see how it was like.
So you
But
can
yeah, that was the first
see
time
what
I
it's
was.
like. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you made the team though, eh? That must have been a big day to make the Danish national team, because there's some great players on that. And you got to play, like, I know you got to play as a younger guy in the World Juniors, but making the men's team, that's got to be quite an accomplishment. And by the way, I'm wearing my Team Denmark shirt right now that Spelling gave me.
Whoa. So you were the same size as Spelling back then, right?
I
Or
don't
was
know.
it a bit
Is
like,
has he beefed up? Because he was just a skinny little kid
no,
back then.
yeah, no, a bit, but he kind of looks like himself.
Yeah.
Like I assume that you don't have to beef up when you got that kind of skill.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Anyways, okay, we got to now. That's pretty much how we know each other. So, random questions now to get her started here is, what were those rituals or whatever you call it, where when someone turned 25 and they weren't married, you guys were like throwing cinnamon on each other or something? Like, what was that about?
Actually, I don't know. And it's kind of a funny thing. Denmark is kind of like divided. We have the main country called Jutland, then we have a small island called Fyn, and then we have the Copenhagen area, which also is on another island. They don't do it over there. It's only here where we are from in Jutland.
Okay.
And actually, when you turn 30, and if you're not married, then you're getting the same treatment, but with pepper.
Yeah, I remember somebody turning, was it 25? And they weren't married. So you guys put them in the shower and literally threw cinnamon like all over him,
Yeah,
like
it's
covered him.
yeah, it's bad. It's actually I think, was it Frankie that year? It could
Why?
have been
Why are you
Frankie.
guys pressuring young men into getting married?
No idea. No idea.
Jeez, weird decisions. Okay, like you don't need young hockey players doing that. You need them to live a little, right?
True.
Anyways, moving on is you guys throwing cinnamon on each other just freaked me out that day. Never understood it. But um someone, a former colleague of yours, asked me to ask you, LeBron or Jordan?
LeBron and Jordan, have you been? That can only be quirky or the gods, right?
No,
But
what
definitely.
was it from Sunderyuski?
Oh no, really?
No, it's from
Well,
the Aalborg Pirates, actually.
who the hell can that be?
Buddy, I got a big network. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
Just answer the question.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% King James.
Over Jordan. Did you not see the documentary?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I did multiple times, but in my opinion, actually, that Jordan show kind of, in my mind, talks to LeBron's favor. That Jordan wasn't even getting close to winning before getting a Hall of Fame coach and two Hall of Famers beside him.
Okay. I don't know much about basketball, you know. I was a point guard in grade 6 for a year, but that's about it. Yeah, no, someone thought maybe it'd get you going a bit, but you think LeBron, eh? He doesn't seem like that great of a teammate to me from what I've seen, but hey, you know.
But you think Jordan was a good teammate?
Well, I don't know.
Given Steve
Yeah,
Kerr,
no, I
like
don't. Yeah, I don't know, man. You know, I guess.
But I guess
Yeah,
that's
I
kind
guess
of
they
like
they
you
both
and
they
Jordan.
both try to get the best out of their teammates, right? Everybody goes about it a different way.
And so did you, like
Yeah.
knocking Perky's teeth out.
I did, yeah. Well, you know, I was trying to win a scoring championship. But okay, I didn't knock his teeth out. He knocked his own teeth out trying to take it to my net.
Yeah, true. Stay out of here.
Okay, so you're probably looking forward to Space Jam 2 then, eh? The kids are looking forward to it too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I watched Undisputed yesterday, and of course Skip Bayless hating on the new Space Jam.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting stuff, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. So next question, where and what are you doing now?
Where I moved back to my hometown, Herning. We bought a house, and right now I'm working as head of export for a textile company located in Herning, where we have 20 different brands, and I'm mainly focusing on one of them, on the export markets, trying to get it out in mainly the entire Europe, but at the beginning, places where it makes sense, and then hopefully someday we can get overseas.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So were you in? I know because when I was in Denmark, it was different than other countries where the Danish players, quite a few of them, like were working during the days, right? And I think we practiced at night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
were you working while you were playing? Is that how you're into this so heavy? Like, were you doing something to do with it
no,
while you were playing?
no, actually, I didn't. But my entire family, like both sides of it, is into textiles. The area that I'm from is really heavy on textiles, and actually the area kind of grew with the productions and stuff like that. So mainly that's the reason why I got into it. And actually my yeah, it's kind of familiar, but my boss is my dad's cousin's son. So
It's somewhat family. Yeah,
yeah.
kinda. But yeah, no, that's cool that you got into something, but you also are coaching, you said, right?
Yeah, I got the U20 in Herning.
And
And
for a town with their rich history, which we'll get into, is that's an important job. If you're coaching the under 20 best players in Herning, that's a decent job, eh?
yeah, it is. Herning have been in junior wise, also actually also the Bulldogs. They've been kind of in a slump the past few years, and me and other former players have been brought in to kind of flip it back to how it was back in the days when I was a young kid. It was a matter of how many golden medals the club will get. Now it's just a matter of making it to the championships. So
And that's same
we're
for the
trying to
pro
flip
team.
that down, and also, sorry, what's that?
Is it same for the pro team? Like they're not winning
Yeah,
either? Because
the pro team.
I heard Sunderjuski isn't winning either.
Well, Sonny, since we played there, where I have the idea that the finances was stronger when we were there.
Yeah.
They've kind of taken it a step back, and now Herning was kind of like a middle budget team when you and I played in Sonny. Now Herning has like they're touching the cap hit, and still can't make it work. Even brought in a former NHL coach the last 2 seasons.
Who's that?
Ben Cooper. He was assistant coach for, I think it was the Panthers.
Oh, okay.
And he was a junior coach for the Canadian team that won the Olympics.
I remember the coach that was in Herning when we beat them in the finals. Did you have him, Bjorkstrand?
Yeah. I had him. Like, there's a lot of negative things to say about Todd, but
he won though, right?
Things to say, as many positive things as there to say about him. But yeah, he's a hard-nosed guy. Like 95% isn't good enough for him. And now looking back, also being old and stuff like that, like he taught me a lot. And actually kind of grateful for, let's say, the education he gave me the first 4 years I had him in my pro career.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like he's one of those coaches that when you're playing for them, you hate it because it's not fun. But then when you look back on it years later, you're like, geez, I learned a lot from him, right?
Yeah, well, most definitely, that's spot on.
Yeah, that would be my guy in the East Coast, Derek Clancy. Same thing. Everybody. Some guys liked playing for him that year, but most of us were like, geez, like I just want to do a spin-a-rooney or put it between my legs, or like at least try and make a play on a 3-on-2. And like if you turned a puck over and they went the other way, you were done for the night. So yeah, everybody's got a different way, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Okay, so then I guess it is I wanted to ask, so then for the coaching job, curious question for me though, is in Denmark, if you're running a program like that while you work, are you getting paid to run that program?
Yeah, but not a lot. We let's call it handouts.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I just didn't know because each country is a little different, right? Like in Germany, there's some guys that they coach 3 different age groups or something, and then that's like their job, right?
Yeah.
Not the same there, eh?
No. We have 2 full-time coaches, and then we have the rest of us who's getting handouts.
Gotcha. Okay. So then the next question is about Herning minor hockey, which we're already into, is like, what's the size of that town? Do you know the population or not?
We are, as we speak, 56,000 population in Herning right now.
And that's probably grown over the years because back when I went there to play with Sunderjuski in the finals, and I would see some of the names that had came out of there and saw how small of a rink it was, saw how small of a town it was. It's like a hockey factory, eh?
Yeah, more or less. And actually the rink, 2 years ago, it got rebuilt. So they have a brand new rink and stuff like that.
Oh, they do? They're out of that old dark one.
Yeah, exactly. But
Oh.
it's still kind of small rink. They didn't build it as big as in Sonnyjyske because they don't have that support. But no, it's really nice right now. It's light and yeah, everything is brand new, weight room, stuff like that. Like
And
everything is
they
perfect.
got the big budget, so there's no excuses to lose now, eh?
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, who some of the players I wrote down that like came out of Herning, just so the fans have an idea, is Freddie Anderson, who's playing for the Leafs now. Peter Regan was like in the show while I was there. I remember that. I
Yeah,
don't know. He's somewhere in Europe now, right?
he signed
Spellings
in.
from there. That Bjorkstrand from Columbus. His old man is who we were talking about. He's now playing for Columbus, and doesn't he have a brother that plays too? And then the other two
Yeah,
I got written
Patrick.
down is Casper Dine and his brother I played with in Bietigheim. So that's a lot of players I know.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have Nicholas Jensen, who played for the Canucks. He's in KHL in Jokerit right now. We have him as well.
And this is all out of a town of 56,000 now, eh?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And yeah, actually, when I grew up, I would say we were like 30,000 people in the city, and all of those guys are more or less my age,
So you
plus
must have had
minus.
a pretty good team your age group, eh? Who was Bjorkstrand your age?
No, the oldest Bjorkstrand is like 2 years younger than me, and I think Oliver is 5 or 6 years younger than me.
Is Oliver the
Um,
one in the NHL?
but yeah, he's the one in Columbus. And
Thresher,
then,
Belgian Whitbeer.
but actually, like the age group right below me that had Patrick Bjorkstrand, who actually played in the KHL, the Finnish Elite League, and Bell, Nick Jensen, Spelling, and then a bunch of other like really talented Danish guys that were like tearing up the Danish league every year.
Is that who that kid I remember from when we played them in the finals? Larsen, was he from there?
Yeah, he's my age, last.
And though that's your age too, you guys
Yeah,
must have really been dominating. That kid was good, eh?
but actually, no, we kind of weren't, because like a Copenhagen team called Rodover, they had like Mikkel Butker and Lars Eller on their team, and they were winning every year.
You guys are all around the same age, eh? Because I remember when I first went to Europe, the Danish national team was really not very good. That was when we won the second league in Germany. Casper Dine
Yeah,
left the night we won to go play for Denmark,
yeah,
wherever the World Championships were. He left that night. And I remember going home and watching him on TSN, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. This guy was just my teammate. And
yeah,
but then to make the Danish national team a few years later, when you saw the roster, like there was the year you, Frankie, and Spelling made the team. But from then on, there was like nobody that was in the Danish league making the team, right?
No, well, Frankie actually got scratched like for the last camp, so it was actually only me and Spelling at the last camp before the World Championships. But no, I think that was more or less the big. Remember the tall guy from Frederikshavn, Bao, the big forward?
I don't
He
remember
made the team
anybody.
as well.
I remember the guys on Herning. That's about it. I remember the final series. That's like
No, that was a heck of a series though.
it was, man. Man, when they had beat us all year and then they went up 2 games to nothing. We were like, geez, like we can't beat this team. And then all of a sudden we went 3 in a row, and then we thought we had it, and then they beat us to go to game 7. And then I remember getting slashed in the finger.
I scored that game though.
In which one?
Remember that? Game 6, like to get up 2-1, but due to TV and stuff like that, and the ref didn't see it in.
See, I don't
Like
remember
that was,
that. I remember all our wives, the kids, and everybody were at the away game, like expecting us to win it. And then we did not.
no, but obviously I remember because I
Yeah.
never score. And then to take that away from me on actually my home court, sort of say that was no,
Yeah.
but
You'd remember
think
that. I'd remember that for sure too, if it was me.
oh fuck, I was so pissed. But Klaus, he actually, the CEO of Sonnyjyske, came after game 7 and said, "It was in, but I'm so happy it didn't count because we made 1 million Danish crowns tonight."
Yeah, like man, those finals, it was electric in that arena. Game 7, like to think
Oh,
of like I know everybody thinks the Stanley Cup's the only trophy in the world, but like when we're playing for that trophy in our gold helmets and it's game 7, like it doesn't matter what league you're in, man. That is your Stanley Cup. And we went out that game 7 and we played like a perfect game.
yeah. Well, actually, I had my first year playing pro hockey. We had a Canadian captain in Herning, Steve Potvin. I actually think he's assistant coach for the Coyotes right now. But he had like a talk before game 6. We lost to Sonnyuski that year, my first year. But he said, "Hey, listen up. None of us in this dressing room will well, he was wrong about that because Freddie Anderson was on the team, but he was like, nobody in here will make it to the Stanley Cup or even the NHL. This is our Stanley Cup, so let's give it all we got." And that's kind of like as you say, like that was our Stanley Cup moment.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. Like the days of winning a championship are the like they're the best other than having your kids, get married. But other than that, uh yeah, like those days, like winning a game 7. I remember before that game, I had been slashed in the finger and it was one of
Mm.
those ones like it's just a finger, but like it was throbbing the whole night. And I just laid there like we have to win. Like I hadn't won in so long, and when you've won and then you go through the dark days of like not even making playoffs and being shitty and like the team doesn't get along and the coaches don't know what they're doing. Like I remember just laying there, like we got a chance, like we got to win one game. And I'm like, this finger is not going to be an issue. And like everybody on that team, like one guy I had written down because you played with him in Herning too, a guy that knows how to win was the other Wally, Jason
Yeah,
Walters.
yeah,
That guy
yeah.
could block some shots, He knew how to win.
Yeah, like Wally was huge that series for us, especially like probably the best PK guy I've played with,
I
to be
me
honest.
too. Yeah, no, like I've never seen a forward block as many shots as him.
No, no,
Maybe
it's
you
like
shouldn't play in your own end though so much,
true. True, but no, like he was one tough cookie when it came to that. Like hats off.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so that yeah, winning a game 7, that was a cool experience. But you won 5 times and you did say you played with Freddie Anderson. Did you
Yeah.
guys not put out Sunderyuski and then is that when you won? Were you playing with him then?
No, actually, well, me and Freddie is the same age group, so through the entire like youth program, we played together, and then like being a goalie is like making the team as a goalie is way tougher than as a player. So Freddie was actually he didn't see a lot of ice time when we made the Blue Fox team,
That's the
and
pro team,
then
right?
that's a pro team, yeah, yeah, yeah. And actually, even then, being 18, 19 years old, like nobody would think that Freddie would take it this far. And he made a grown-up decision and moved to Frederikshavn to be a starter, and then I guess
Oh,
the
so he's
rest is
playing for
history.
Frederikshavn because I remember
Yeah, yeah,
Alfie Michaud tell me about a series where he was playing against Freddie Anderson and Freddie beat
that
him.
was yeah, yeah. That was a year before. No, that was 2 years before I came to Sonnyuski. Like he would face like 50, 60 shots and Frederikshavn would win the games 3-2, 2-1, stuff like that. Like he was incredible.
Huh. Yeah, no, okay. I'm starting to figure it out. I was only there for 1 year, right? So it's hard to really figure
Yeah,
out
yeah.
where everybody was and where everybody played. So I guess some of my other I guess we've talked about Herning, but like, is there anything different that you think they were doing to produce all that talent, or do you think it's just it's kind of weird that like all you guys were born in the same town and grew up in the same town. Like they weren't recruiting players from around Denmark to come live in Herning and play hockey there, right? Like these kids actually were born and raised there.
Exactly. Um, I would say the biggest difference that I felt when I moved to Sonnyuski was that in Sonnyuski you made it when you made it to the Sonnyuski pro team. In Herning, you like if you made it to the Blue Fox, which is a pro team, you haven't made it yet. So, and then also like the DNA that was and some sort of still is in Herning is different. Like it's I would say kind of like a hot nose environment, a bump and grind game, blocking shots and stuff like that. Where I can't say like how it is in other teams than in Sonnyuski, where we play with some of the young guys coming up, where some of them were doing the flamingos and stuff like that. Just
I totally know what you mean. It's they have the fancy rink, they have the nice equipment, they have the nice rooms, and like kids can play differently based on how they're brought up and the way it is. Like when you're in
yeah,
that old dingy arena and the rooms aren't that good, but you just love playing hockey and you love being around the boys. It's not about how nice of a room you have, right? Like I never gave a shit about that. There were guys though that like when they're picking a college team, it was all about the locker room you're gonna have. Like who gives a shit?
yeah, yeah.
Y-
Well, I agree 100%. And actually, also if you talk with some of the old guys that played Sonnyuski, probably Daryl, who played in that small arena, the practice arena that you also tried doing the cold winter days. Their locker room back then was like shit, but everybody loved it way more than going to the new ones because it was everybody was close and it was, I guess, more fun.
Yeah, no, I like it's weird because like that year we won it. We were the best team in the league.
By far.
Um by far. And like we would go out, we'd have fun. For me it was a weird year because like I would other than Alfie with his like three kids, I was the only one with a kid. You guys were all like younger, right? In Germany, there were older guys that like there were more older guys that played hockey, which I never understood why Danish guys kind of they retire young, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I retired as 27, so and that's like
And you were a five-time gold helmet list that played on the national team. And I remember Casper and his brother, the Dines, they're from there too, right?
yeah, they're from Herning as well.
And they both like they retire when they both still can play.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. But money is has of course something to say in this regard.
There's
Like
just not
if
enough
you're
money in the Danish league, eh?
for the top players, they make decent money, no doubt about it. But I can only speak for myself. But I have always had in mind that I would be able, I would be able to make a career for myself after hockey as well. Uh, Instead of being, one of those worst case scenario guys, like didn't make sure to get an education, didn't make any plans for after the playing days was over and stuff like that. And then actually that year you were there, I kind of blew my knee in the semis against Aalborg, and then it really never got good again. And then you probably know everyone who's played probably know the feeling if you got hurt. Like your mind remember what you could the previous years, but when your body just says no, like you'll get frustrated and it's not fun.
It's when you can see the play, you need to make, and it's whether or not you got to stop up to get it through around the stick, or you got to take a hard stride to get it past the stick to make that play. But like your knee won't allow you to do it. And you're like, I could have made that play if my leg would have let me. That's when you get pissed off, right?
So I opted out of my last year of my contract in Aalborg just to retire.
Is
Because
that right, eh?
yeah, because I was just that frustrated.
Yeah, you always wore your heart on your sleeve too, though. Like when you played, you knew when you were happy or sad or or frustrated, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no,
Well,
I liked it. Gotta have a personality out there, right?
I would say I'm probably getting more mellow through my older days here now,
You've calmed
but yeah,
down, eh? You've calmed down?
I come down a bit. But that's right. Actually, I kind of played my best games when, yeah, as you say, when I wore my heart on the sleeves.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's when you feel the most passion for it. And it's like you said, when you got yourself riled up on Twitter, like everybody needs something different to play good, right? Like some of us
Yeah,
need to relax and, you know, just be calm and be able to handle the puck and make plays and see it. Or some guys need to be wound up and need to feel like they need to go hurt somebody, or some guys need something totally different, right? Everybody needs to figure out how to get themselves ready, right?
true. I had to definitely be wound up and being intense and into the game, and probably also like, I wouldn't say give shit, but yell at my teammates from time to time if I didn't feel they were into the game.
Right. And so people need to hold each other accountable. And that was one thing that team did, right? Like we held each
Yeah,
other accountable. The whole team, like from top to bottom, was like, we didn't do well in the Challenge Cup and we lost the Pokal final at home. But like, I mean, like that best of 7 against Herning and all the other playoff, the run there. I don't know what else we did, but like it was, everybody held each other accountable. And then you got guys like Wally eating pucks, and you got Daryl just beating up young Danish boys, right? Like in the corners. Like remember
yeah.
guys tried to get around Daryl like in that league. It
Like,
was hilarious.
he's such a big guy, and everything looked so like, from, I didn't get it back then because like I was still 23 at the time, but later on, like he was so good with his stick, like stick on puck wise, that
It was
it
awful
made
on
it,
2-on-1s and
look so
everything.
easy.
Yeah. And his skates were so big. Seriously. And you know
Big
what they say
rat.
about big skates, folks? Right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
Who knows? I don't remember that part of it, but okay. So I guess the only other guy, I don't know where we are anymore. We're talking about all sorts of things, which is good because my notes are all over the place now. But like the Bjorkstrand and the coach you touched on and what he did for you and how hard he was on you, but like, was he not pretty hard on his own kids too? Like that was a rumor I heard back in Denmark. Like he was the coach, but his kids played for him growing up, and like he pushed them, didn't he?
Mm, well, I wouldn't say he pushed them more than he did us. I would actually say when we were at the rink that he would probably push some of us other guys more than he would push his oldest son. Oliver at the time was only 16, and he was kind of like, I only played with Oliver one season, and then he went to Portland. So let's say at 16 and you're playing with men, it's more like a learning year, I
Yeah.
would say. So he didn't push Oliver that hard, and at the end he probably didn't have to. But again, it's tough because you don't know what's going on at home, if he's coaching still at home and stuff like that. But I would say there are probably some situations where he wouldn't have needed to be harder on his son or sons at certain times, especially in front of the group. Uh, but
Yeah,
it,
coaching your
it
kids
was,
in pro,
yeah,
that's got to be hard, man. That's got to be
and
really hard. Even
that's
in
gotta be
minor hockey, it'd be hard because, like, for myself, like someday I'd like to coach Colby's team, and
mm,
like, and then it's like, well, you don't want them to think you're playing them because of this or that. Like, it's all got to be fair, and then you'd have to call them out in front of the team to make it, you know.
yeah, and
It.
that's probably a talk you need to have before, like, I mean, with your sons, that I have to call you out in front of the team
Mhm.
so everyone can see that there's no special treatment for you.
I actually used to be that guy for some reason. Like every team I was on, the coach would say, "I'm going to call you out in video in front of everybody because I think you can take it." And yeah, it's kind of funny. I actually had the same call at work this week. One of the big dogs called me after a meeting and said, "You told me you used to be able to take it in front of the group." He's like, I had to do that in front of the group. I hope you're okay with it." I'm like, totally fine with it. Like, you know, some people, like but when people talk to you and explain why they do it, then like I have no problem with, setting the culture and how it should be. And like, you got to
Uh,
hold each other accountable, right?
True, and neither do I. But as your boss did, like it's so important to pull you to side and explain why,
Yeah.
because that and that is something that I learned for myself, that if I got yelled at in front of everyone, like I would take it personal, like really personal, and be pissed if nobody would explain to me why he did it.
Right.
Uh,
And that's the only way you can really learn, is if then they sit down and say, well, this is like, what, like why you'd say it, or why you're second guessing it, is, like, tell me what your side of it is, right? And then you work it out.
exactly.
Yeah, coaching's changed over the years, man. They used to be such dicks.
Oh, yeah, and then I
Are
would
you
say
a
the youth
dick?
has
You're
changed
a
as
coach
well.
now. Are you a dick?
I would actually say I'm sometimes a dick, but I would say I'm fair and square. Like the only thing for me is that when you work, now that we're working with young kids, uh, I've kind of have the mantra that I want to kind of educate them, make them ready for life after hockey if they make it. Meaning like from, and that's all. That's what I've got from hockey is being prepared, hardworking, all yada yada yada, all those things that you can't learn in school. Uh, so my big thing is effort and hard work. If your hard work and your effort is there, then I'm loose. But if your
But yeah,
focus and stuff ain't there, I'm probably a dick.
yeah, no, I could see that. And like, I'd be the same. If you're not going to give me what you got, then get out of the way, right? Like, that's how
Yeah,
you win. That's how you get better. I
exactly.
understand. Okay. So my question, we're all over the place, but the transition from juniors to pro,
Mm.
in Denmark, because it's different than in North America. You guys are growing up in a town, and there's a pro team, there's a junior team, and then all of a sudden you start kind of mixing between the two, and then you kind of try and become a full timer like kids in the NHL, right? Like, you try and stick.
Yeah, yeah.
So what was that like for you?
Hmm. It was tough, obviously, and back then when I came up, like before the financial crack in '08, the Danish league was like really good. I mean, we were beating like Switch A teams 6-1 in exhibition games, and beating DL teams, the Freezers 5-1, stuff like that. And the money was huge in the Danish league back then.
That was right at the crisis when like almost all the teams were like done, right? That was when I was in Beatingheim.
Yeah, my team almost actually went bankrupt back then. But yeah, like the league was amazing back then. So it was tough, like, but it was still like a really good eye opener. Like practicing competing every day with like many year full time pros, who some of them played a lot of years in the American League and even in top leagues in Europe. Uh, but definitely an eye opener of how you thought hockey should be played. Like they flip it 180 when you turn pro. They play like so more structured, like, and not so much running around as in the juniors. So I would say the first half year was more getting your shoulders down and calm down a bit, and then from there, just like as we touched before, giving everything you got every day and listen.
Yeah, that's it's kind of the same as over here, except it's like the first time you make junior B, it's an adjustment. Then you got another step with like college or OHL, which is another big
Mm.
step. And then you try and get into pro, which, yeah, it's different than the Danish league. the East Coast and AHL over here. It's just a different brand of hockey. But like I could see how like the young Danish kids, like even from like the one-on-one battles in the corners and like the different things like old wily vets would do, right? Battling for a puck. You'd probably learn a lot as a young Danish kid with like when you get the old boys over from like North America, right? That have a few more tricks.
Oh, well, one of them is like being a rookie in the one-on-ones in the corner, thinking you were going to lay this guy out, and then like first time in your life, you find out that there's something called reverse hits.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would piss you off. I know the type of guy
That's
you are,
really,
and then you get embarrassed, right? I used to love embarrassing people when they'd come to hit the little guy. God, I'd love it.
I hated it. Like, and yeah, embarrassing, humiliation, 100%.
Man, this is when I know I'm feeling it, is when I never look at the notes and we are all over the place, man. I had written down like making under 18s and under 20s and what division and all that. But how about we just talk about when you did make like the men's team, the best players you played against or with?
Oh, the best players I played against would probably be Grabowski from Belarus or the Kostitsyn brothers. Those
Also
guys,
Belarus, right?
yeah. Those guys were really good. And then actually played against Kazakhstan, played against Nick Antropov. Remember that guy?
Oh yeah, he was on the Leafs forever.
Yeah, and then for the Trashers as well. And that was kind of like, that was like seeing a guy like you wouldn't make it even in the Danish league. Like you were terrible. You can't skate. You got no skill in this big ice. But I guess you can make $4 million staying in front of the net.
Yeah, and then when you see some of the players that make it and make big money, sometimes you're like, how? Because there's a lot of other guys out there that you see play and you're like, wow, he's really good. How is
Yeah,
he there and he's there?
exactly. And even doing lockout, like I know I'm going different directions, but the year before you came to Denmark, the NHL lockout was there, and we had Colin Greening, who was probably the best player in the Danish league. But then we have Zach Smith and what's the guy's name? Klein, the D-man who played for the
Oh,
Rangers.
Kevin Klein. Yeah.
Yeah,
He played on my roller hockey team as a young buck.
yeah. But those two were like, they were good, but they were not like they wouldn't be a top import in the Danish league anyways.
No, I know. And then this is a woolen shop.
And those two guys had great careers in NHL, and Zach Smith is still in the show, right?
I don't know. Is he? He was with Ottawa, right? But no, like I totally get it. And like sometimes you bring on guys on when you start a podcast, and like some of the guys you think should have made it, and you ask them on or off camera, you're like, can you believe like so and so made it? But like, how did him and him not make it? And like, it doesn't make any sense, especially when you know, like some of the guys that make the show really aren't that good at teammates. Like you know them, you know the type of people they are. They're not that great at teammates. But then the guys that were great teammates, and seem to be better players, they never just got the opportunity, never found the right coach that wanted them. And then I was shocked when I went to the UK. Some of the fighters that came over that had made millions of dollars playing in the NHL, I was actually really impressed by them that they had found a way to make that much money playing hockey, because they actually really weren't very good.
No, exactly.
But they made the money.
And that's well, at the end, I guess that's all what it's about. Like it's a living.
Yeah, it's just interesting how some guys make it. But okay, moving on. What about the best Danish guys?
That I played with or against with?
Both, yeah, all of the above.
Yeah, well, I would say the best Danish guy I played with. Like when we're saying played with, is that?
Well, I'm not Danish, so don't worry about it.
No, but to make sure I picked the right one. Are we talking about who was best at the time I played with him, or where he is
Hey,
today?
you tell me, man. You tell me why and who.
Well,
Obviously, Freddie Anderson is a goalie, but goalies don't really count. We know what he's doing. Talk about a real position.
I would say Oliver Bjorkstrand then, probably.
Where he is now. I've seen how hard he gives her out there, man. I like watching that guy play. He's still one of those kids in the game that's got grit, right?
He got grit and he's smart at the same time, and just like his physique, he isn't a big guy or a strong guy or anything, but he's just like smart, and then got that hard working mentality. So and then he got a terrific wrister, like really good.
So does he come home in the summers? Do you still skate with him, or do you still skate?
I skate with the young guys during the season, and then of course old boys once a week. But no, actually no, he's not coming home anymore after his dad left Herning, and his mom is not even in town anymore. So the two Bjorkstrand kids is not home during the summer anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it's always good to have good players around to teach the young guys, like in the summer if they're out skating, right? It would help, especially when they're in the NHL. It probably the kids around town would sure like them being there to skate, right?
Yeah, and next week we have a hockey camp where Franz Nielsen and Freddie will be there. They're really good to show up every summer.
Franz Nielsen's from there too?
Yeah.
From Herning?
Yeah.
You guys are a mess. I see Freddie now. He's like walking around with Austin Matthews and Justin Biebs, eh?
Yeah. That was for the UFC game, right? For the UFC.
Wow, these Herning boys are really making it big, eh?
Yeah, I saw it, and then like I kind of like sent him a Snapchat message, and like, wow, you're rolling big right now.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, okay. Where are we? I wanted to talk about then winning for the first time for your hometown with the pro team. We haven't really got into your career. We've kind of just been talking, so sorry. You might have to do round two, but like, you did work your way up. You make the pro team, and you win the championship 2 times. So what's your role, and what's that feel like to work your way up and win it all?
Well, that's more or less what you dreamed of as a kid, seeing like back in the 90s where Herning was a powerhouse, like what you dreamed of to be able to accomplish that. Being honest, I don't remember much for the first championship because I got picked up and sent home like 11:30. So I got knocked out pretty quick.
Oh, you got knocked out?
No, not knocked out, but by
Oh, you drank too much. You had too much fun, and you were too young to.
And actually, I would say that was probably the first time I was like really wasted.
So, were you not wearing the gold helmet, or did it protect you?
I was wearing it, and it probably did. My dad came and picked me up at the rink before the other guys were hitting the bars.
Yeah.
And then we have a pop crawl the day after, but. Yeah, there was actually I was 20 at the time, but I think I remember I was probably like the 8th oldest on the team back then because of the financial crisis, and we had just loaded up with the young guys, young talent, and then.
So that's the year you win it for the first time. Is the year that like all the teams kind of like go tits up and all the imports leave?
Yeah. I think we had like 5 imports. We have some North Americans and then some Finns, and then Pisa. You played against him.
The goalie, yeah.
The goalie, yeah. That was his first year in Herning. And then second year we just we had a really strong team. That was with Wally that year. And Gansak, remember that guy as well?
No, he was a competitor. Mitch Gansak, that guy was a competitor. Yeah, like he would piss me off on the ice, and like that kind of shows that
he would piss everyone off.
Yeah, he's a good. I guess if you're pissing everybody off, I guess you're a good player, right?
Exactly. But that year, that was something really like the second championship was really special. We were down 3-1 in that series against Odense, and then came back.
The Bulldogs.
Yeah, against Eski. But yeah, came back and won 4-zip in Game 7 in Odense.
In Odense, that's a tough place to play too. That's one of those old barns too. Like you
Yeah,
guys can't just keep building new arenas because those old barns you guys have are pretty cool.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think Odense is the only old one left now.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Because Frederikshavn was in the old rink when I was there too, right? They were
yeah,
just
yeah,
about to move. So everybody's moving to the new fancy one, eh?
yeah.
What a joke. Like bunch of
It's,
prima donnas over there now, eh?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Everybody's got the weight room, the protein shakes, the foam rollers. Good gosh.
We living the dream. But no, that was a special one. And then actually, yeah, then of course Sonny Yuski called.
Did you handle your alcohol better the second time?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, way better. Like we were partying to like 7 in the morning, and that
Good
bus
for you.
ride home was so good.
So my issue, I won in junior. It was really fun. Then we sucked in college for a while. Then I'd lose in the East Coast, in the finals. Then the first year in Germany, I lose in the finals. And like I was so close to winning it a couple times there. And then we finally win it in Germany. And I tell you, I wasn't only 20 years old. I was about 23, 24, and I didn't handle my alcohol well either. So don't worry about it. I didn't have my dad to bring me home. I just had my dog Beckham, and he led me home. And whew, he was yeah, tough day that night. But I understand it gets the best of us. But that was actually the second day. That was the day of the parade. So yeah.
You had a parade down there.
Yeah, I mean that's when things got away from us because we didn't know there was a parade. So we were having beers like there was not a parade, and then we found out there was, and then there was a party the whole night, and I just wasn't prepared to go that long. I woke up and started, you know, preparing like it was an afternoon shift, not a full day shift, and I was
Ooh,
not prepared for the parade. So, but no, it was tough.
beautiful.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. Good thing there wasn't social media back then, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a different game back then.
Jesus, it would have been so much easier back in the old days.
You were allowed to have so much more fun and people wouldn't all know about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you guys do win it then with Wally, and this is what I'm curious about because you played your whole life in Herning. That's home. Um, but is it because you're trying to get away from parents and becoming an adult, or why do you go to Sunderjuski, or is it just about the paycheck?
Um, Paycheck, of course, one of it, but the way that I played, I actually never played for money, sort of say. Um, but no, I wanted to kind of take the next step, and I know it sounds weird as we were the defending champions, and taking the next step should be go to Sonoyuski, but bigger budgets, better in my mind, better imports, playing a more, I would say, grown-up style of hockey back then. So I ended up going to Sonoyuski, and signed for 2 years, and yeah, we won it right away. Uh, Really hectic season. The first one down there ended also up with the head coach resigning and taking a pause, and but we won the double the first year. Um,
The double is the Pokal and the league, right?
yeah,
Is that all
exactly.
there is there, right?
That's all there is, exactly. But yeah, weird season, like 2 good game, 3 bad, 4 good, 1 bad, up and down. I think we ended up fourth in the regular season, and then when it became playoff times, we really became a unit and played solid from there.
Was it still the same as when I was there? Is that as soon as like the trade deadline happens, they bring in three new imports and you beef up for the playoffs, and then all those imports are fighting with each other to see who stays for the next year?
Yeah, yeah, more or less. We brought in
Sunderjuski, we see through what you're doing with imports. It's not
wow,
nice.
Hanning actually did it as well, but we brought in a young, I think he was a Czech guy at D. I was, of course, pissed and kind of stepped up, so the guy didn't get any ice
Well, it
time.
piss you off, right? Because they bring in 2 new guys, and then all of a sudden your ice time that you played all year, you've been playing these minutes all year, and then all of a sudden you bring in 2 guys, and then all of a sudden your role on the team completely changes, and it can change a dynamic of a team that's been having success all year. All of a sudden you bring in, like, say for our year, you bring in Antsy, Rantanen, then that changes the dynamic of all the different players, right? Like you bring in another guy that plays PK and all those minutes, and then all of a sudden it changes the dynamic for the guys, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
So Sunderjuski, I disagree with how you run your hockey team, and I hope you stop doing it. Just pick the 8 players at the start of the year and do it that way. Quit being dickheads.
Then your buddy Pat Dwyer wouldn't have gotten down there.
Well, if for however much they pay a guy that I used to play college with, and you're like, geez, I used to demand a pretty, but yeah, then the guys like that play in the NHL, man, they go over there for way bigger money than guys like me.
Exactly. That's kind of funny that during the season you're talking with the teams and no, they can't afford more and yada yada yada, and then
a guy like that shows up and you're like, oh yeah, no, we actually do have the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. It's such a game with the teams.
Antti Rantanen, what a beauty. I totally forgot about him.
Did you forget about him?
You know what? I got a text message when we were with the national team where there was the national team break. And I'm not quite, I don't know if you were a part of that group, but a bunch of guys from the team was out bowling at the bowling alley.
I went bowling once.
I got a text message saying that we were banned from the bowling alley because of Antti, because he stripped at the bowling alley at, what was it, 8 p.m. And then like there were like families there with kids, but he was so shit-faced that he was bowling butt naked. Yeah,
I was there. Yeah, you brought this. That I totally forgot about that until right now.
Is it true?
Until you just said that right now, I totally forgot about that. But like every time that guy had drinks, he had to take his clothes off.
So it is true. I didn't know if I should believe the text I got back then.
It was pretty true. Geez, sometimes the truth hurts, eh? But no, I remember that now that you say that, and yeah, no, you're right. The things that come up on this podcast they really bring you back in time. He had a hard time keeping his clothes on when he started drinking, I guess. I remember there was not to really put salt in the wound here, but there was a time, what's the bar in Hatterslav we'd always go to? It's just kind of long, and then there could be a bar at one end, or a band at one end. Anyways, there was a band playing, and he got up and danced in front of the band, and he was dancing around, and then all of a sudden fell into all the drums and like all the music equipment. And they're trying to play, and Nancy's just knocked over everything.
Oh, Jesus.
Why did you bring this up?
I never heard that story.
Oh, God.
Beautiful.
Man, and the memories that could come back. Okay. So you went to Sunderjuski and they bring in other imports. So who were your D partners when you played there? And did bringing in imports at the deadline ever screw your ice time and your position on the team?
No, not that bad, actually. My first year I played with Joachim Halton, who left the year you came there. And then at doing playoffs, I played with Eski for that first year in Sunderjuski. And
He's
then
a good player, eh?
Oh, really good. Like, and him and me kind of like, I would say he was kind of like the same type of guy as me, like hard in the sleeve with giving you like hold people accountable and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you guys are both very passionate, and you guys both were as competitive as they got, and Yeah, you guys didn't like losing. So it's a good combo.
Yeah, and then the second year, where the first year you and I had together, I started out playing with Daryl, uh, and Daryl was like, he was trying to get me wind up every game. He had so much fun doing it. Even like on the bench, he would like, Anders, go out and fight the guy. Tell him, Anders. And then,
I could see Daryl fucking with you the whole time.
and then but he was a really good D partner, because you always knew where he was. He would always be at the right position, stuff like that, and always have your back.
He was a pro, right? Like that guy was like for a defensive defenseman, man. If you're putting a team together, that's a guy you need.
Yeah, well, Daryl was a beauty, like on and off the ice.
Yeah.
He was
Oh
so fun.
yeah. God. Episode 49-ish, folks. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
What
when
a
it came to
dandy.
playoff time again, I played with Askey, and then I think the third season that I played with Daniel Galbraith throughout the entire season. And my fourth year, I was playing with Mark Sorensen. Remember him?
Yep. He
Yeah.
was who played with Daryl that whole year.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, right? And then it was you and SK and then Gatto and
Galbraith. I think.
Yeah. So
And then we brought in Ansi, and I think he got squared up with Guts, or was it Guts and Daryl?
I can't remember all that, man. You guys are defensemen. You think I worry about your stuff? I was with Quirky, and then they switched us, so I knocked out his teeth, and then I went with Wally and Spelling, and we hit it off too. So
That's also a pretty good line there.
Yeah, well, you got a D man that can block all the shots while Spelling and I cheat like crazy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, no, that was a fun drive, and man, I tell you, it's one of those days I'll never forget. Was winning Game 7, man, and having my kid on the ice. And Lisa, like, to be able to celebrate a championship again, like playing in Sunderjuski and playing with guys like you, the competitive streaks you guys had, and like all that mattered was winning. It was like the team I had played on the year before, guys were worried about their points and all that crap. And it's like you got to Sunderjuski and it was like everybody just wants to win. That's all it's about.
Like we had so many team guys that year, like so many team guys. I would say we probably only had one guy who's interested in getting his point and stuff like that, who could get you even if we won 7-1 and he didn't score a point. But through that, but even though like it was all about winning, like we had a really fun season. Like everyone had fun. It was really a good group of guys we had.
It was, man. Like, and like for me, it is weird to go to Denmark and like you don't know what you to expect, and then you show up at Voyage and you're like, I thought it was like Copenhagen, like there was people around, right? There was nobody around, just a few cake stores and a couple grocery stores.
Could you imagine being like going to Russia and play in a small town like at least everyone's right?
Yeah, you just cut out big time there, man. I don't know what happened there. Our internet's lagging. Anyways, moving on. I don't know what you said anyways, but okay, here we go. You won 5 gold helmets in a row. So are you and Daryl Andrews the leaders with 5 gold helmets each, or did anybody pass you yet?
Well, I know some of the older guys in Herning has, I would even say 6 and 7. I actually think even Lundy has 6.
Mads Lund, he's a great centerman in that league, man.
Kim also got 6. But none of them have 5 in a row.
Yeah, 5 in a row. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you won 2 times in your hometown for Herning, and then you switched to Sunderjuski and win 3 in a row.
Yeah, exactly. And that would actually be like going from the Bruins to join the Montreal Canadiens. like
Yeah,
in
yeah. No, I
Danish.
know. And like that's who we beat in the finals. So you beat your hometown in the finals, which must have been cool too, right? You don't
Oh yeah.
think of it as an import and you're just over there playing, but like this is your hometown you're playing against, right?
Yeah, me and Spelling's hometown. That was yeah, it was awesome. Actually, touch the social media thing. Like, if you give some, you have to take some. Like, I got some fans from Herning tried to give me shit like during the season. No, actually, after the Pokal, remember we lost I think 5-zip at
Five
home,
zip at home, yeah.
and then they were like, okay, they were giving me shit, and I kind of expected that, but I didn't answer because I thought eventually we would face them later on during the season. So after Game 7, the first thing I did walking off the ice was text those guys back like, sorry for the late reply, but did we finish this topic? And like no response. That was that was probably even that was the second best thing happening that night, being able to text those retards back.
I don't think in 2021 you're allowed to say that word anymore, but
Oh, sorry.
I understand your frustration. But yeah, like when fans take it too far and say things like, especially when you've lost and like you've given it all you got, like
That's
get away from me.
that.
um, so moving on though, is you win it 3 times in a row, and then finally Sunderjuski finally loses. Finally giving up. Wally finally caught up with them. And they couldn't win anymore. So you move on to the Aalborg Pirates. And that's an interesting rink in my opinion. It's weird how you come out below and it's just a
Yeah,
weird spot, but like a cool rink. Like all your rinks in Denmark were till you brought in all the new crap.
yeah. Well,
So why do you go to Aalborg?
I went to Overmark. Actually, I was talking with Herning, but then they announced that that Bjorkstrand was coming back from Austria, and then I was like, no, I'm too old for that shit.
Yeah, you
Uh,
can't do that again.
I'm
Hazy
not.
Sunset, New England IPA.
I'm not doing that again.
Well, it's yeah, at my age, if someone tried to talk to me like that guy would talk to people, yeah, there's no way.
No, and then like at the time I was located in Aarhus, which is the second biggest city
I
in
thought it was Aarhus.
Aarhus. We can call it that as well.
I've
Uh,
been there. I've seen it. Nice
that's
place.
that's actually a nice city. Yeah.
Really nice city. Yeah.
But like I was located there and had an hour drive to Sonnyuski, and I would have an hour drive to even Herning and Aalborg. But I decided to go with Aalborg. They had, and this was something really different. Like they were in a phase where they were building up again instead of the last like 8 seasons. It was all about winning every year.
Yeah.
So I went up,
Instead of it being about a tradition, it was about starting something new.
exactly. So they just made the cut the previous season and made it to the playoffs. Lost in 4 games to us back then. Came up. They got a new coach back then. We brought in. Was he at Vines back then with you? That's embarrassing. I can't remember the guy's name. Coach Reed played
Uh,
it.
the assistant coach for us was Straube, Chris Straube.
That's right. But yeah, that's right. That was the year after. But this guy Reed came in like 37 years old, had to finish his career due to
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Reed, he played on the World Juniors for
Brandon.
Canada, right? And he played for
Yeah,
Aalborg. Yeah, he was really good. Number 50, Brandon Reed.
yeah,
Yeah, little right-handed shot, was a star for the World Juniors for Canada. I'll never forget him.
exactly. Really, like, really good guy.
So he was a coach there, right?
I actually recommended him because they didn't know where to look. So I got in contact with Brandon and gave the the GM in Overmark, his contact details, and then he signed like 2 weeks later. And he came in with a system and an idea how to do things, and it worked. He developed the young guys really good. We ended up winning the regular season, losing the Pokal finals, and then we got beat in 7 games in the quarterfinals. And the year after, they won the championship.
Okay, so he knew what he was doing. He was a good coach.
He was a really good coach, like 100% honest. He would speak to you polite, but he would be brutal honest with you.
The guy that asked about LeBron or Jordan would have been Bryce Reddick from the Cardiff Devils. Yeah.
Such a good guy.
I never played with him. I don't really know him, but he's seen me naked. I gave him a pregame speech, man.
Oh,
you gotta listen to earlier episodes to know what's going on.
About being naked though, do you remember on the bus?
Oh dear. Hey, I don't edit this stuff. What are you gonna say now?
Well, you didn't get totally naked, but remember the bus trips where me and Gots were switching up who it was to. We had this cake thing going on, and every other road game I would bring cake and Gots with, only for me and Gots. And then I brought this, what is it called?
Oh dear, you brought
with the brown sugar on top.
You brought a really good cake.
Remember that?
Wow, you're bringing back some memories. Something's firing here, but I'm trying to remember what it was. But I'm pretty sure you gave me a cake, and I was like kind of naked on the bus. And
no, you were like you were really, really offended that I didn't bring anything for you. So we have to share it in 3 pieces. And then like you took your first bite and you took off your shirt, and then you were like,
wow,
oh, this cake make me feel so sexy when I eat it. And then you dropped the pants, but you kept the trunks on.
Well, the Danish had a very good cake game. Daryl and I talked about it. You guys had a high-end cake game, and you know, certain things can get a guy going, right? Like you don't know if it's the brown sugar, you don't know what's gonna happen, right?
Oh, it was perfect. It's the best cake ever.
Well, right. And like when you grow up in Elmira, sometimes people aren't making cakes like that, and you don't know about it until you go to Denmark and someone makes cake for you like that, and you're like, well, how am I supposed to control myself? I know we're on our way to a hockey game, but I'm hot and bothered. Right?
Right.
I didn't mean to be. So you guys lose in Aalborg, but then you're done before they win the championship. And that's the year you were already signed for another year, and you say, I can't play the way I want to be able to play, and it's not good for me, so I'm done.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, that sucks that you had to do that. Like
I kind of like, it would be so nice to kind of like have that you won gold in all 3 teams you played for, but it would be just like, it would be a grind.
It was the same thing for me in Cardiff, man. When I went to Cardiff, I played 1 year. I started there bad. My knee wasn't good. It got fixed. I had a good end of the year. The next year I get in shape. I'm all jacked up and I'm doing well. Like the first game of the season or the first game of preseason, hurt my knee. And like, it was like you talked about, like my knee was to the point where like I could see the play I had to make. I could see the best play. I knew how to do it, but my body would not allow me to do it. And it was so frustrating. And then my leg locked and it was over. And, but when you can't make the plays you want to make and you can see them, like you can see, I got to pass it to him, but I would have to do this or that to do it. And you're like, my body will not allow me to do that.
Yeah. And then it's in my mind, it's just like, it's waste of time and dragging it all out if you continue like that. Like,
I totally agree. I totally agree. So last question then is, you did come back though. You came back and played in the second league.
Yeah, well, the second league is way different than playing in the show in the American League. Like the skill level between those two leagues is huge. Um, so they had a second league team in Aarhus where I lived, and I kind of
That's
like
the Jutland Vikings is Aarhus.
Jutland. Like, yeah, that's Aarhus, and you have like you kind you don't know how much time you spend playing hockey before you retire and know how much spare time you have. Uh, and I kind of like after that year, I didn't get me right. I didn't miss the game, like go traveling stuff like that. But I missed Monday to Fridays, like in the dressing room, like the locker room fun side of it, and playing Division One in Denmark. Like it's not serious. Um, at least not in Aarhus. It's not because they don't have an elite team as the other guys do. Other teams have, so they use it as a farmer team. Aarhus, that's just us young former players playing and having fun. So I did it mainly just for the social purpose of it, hanging out
I
with the guys.
understand, and missing a team atmosphere, and then you realize you're just so competitive, and when people aren't caring as much, it's hard, right?
That took me an entire year to kind of like, yeah, okay, this is not, we're not playing for championships, stuff like that. People are not trying to make a living out of this. But yeah, it definitely took some time. But at the end, it was a lot of fun catching up with actually former teammates, but also guys that you have played against that all was living in Aarhus due to studies, etc. It's a huge study city in Denmark.
So here's a question for you. This was after I played in Denmark. It was like the year after. I got right into the TV show Vikings. Was I living anywhere near where that stuff's going down? Because I wish I would have got into that show while I was playing in Denmark so I could have checked out all the history, you know?
I would say it would probably be a 2 hour drive up north from Vojens
Really? To where?
to a small, tiny like city between Aalborg and Aarhus.
Really? And I could
Yeah.
have gone there and checked it out.
Yep. There's a museum and stuff like that. And actually, the Vikings TV show, it's telling that it's from Norway, but it's actually wrong. Like Ragnar Lodbrok was a Danish king back then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He Danish. Yeah. That's crazy. I love that show, man. I do. It's great. Yeah. Makes me wish I would have played in Denmark like a year later so I could have seen the show and then like gone and checked it all out, right?
You can still come though.
Well, I know it's a little harder now. But you're on the beach too this week, eh?
I'm on the beach too. Not today though. Cloudy and windy today, but the other days have been blue sky and a lot of sun. So
Yeah, because we planned this during my holidays with the family, and I decided I'd do it before everybody was up and at 'em for the day. And I'm doing a beach week too. And but you know what, man? I was so excited to catch up with you, and I love doing this pod. I just had to find the time to do it. So I raced home at pretty early in the morning, but I would never tell people that because we have a brand here, and it's 2 ales and hockey tales, right?
yep,
You got to have a couple when you do it, right?
that's true. That's true. Definitely. Don't tell wifey.
No, it's a bit early today, but I'm off all week, folks. So sorry about that. But the Jutland Vikings, that's it. I got the TV show, and I guess the only other thing was that's where you started coaching as a player assistant, and then you get into coaching the under 20. So I wish you good luck, man, and I hope you can pump out some more Herning superstars out of your program.
Oh, I hope so too. And who knows? Maybe in 20 years' time they'll be on your pod again.
Yeah, seriously. And like we'll still be doing this, and we'll get the young Danes that you brought up, and they can talk about you know how bad you treated them and all the things you made them
Exactly.
do, and they'll be like, yeah, that guy was such an asshole, right?
The worst thing is that you would probably say that, yeah,
Well,
and you'd probably be right at the same time sometimes.
well, as long as they're as good as they can be, and at the end of their career, they're like, that coach helped me, or they're like, no, he was just a dick. They're gonna say something though.
Yeah,
And
that's
it'll
true.
be on my podcast, right?
Oh, definitely. I would tell them to not attend Spit and Chicklets.
Well, this is our first Danish player on the pod, so I expect you to help promote this around the Danish area, just so you know.
Oh, I will. No doubt. I will.
And I'm gonna need a few phone numbers from you from that team. SK is one of them. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, this is the best part for me is I've kind of lost contact with a bunch of guys, right? And that we won championships, and it was an important time in our lives, and it was fun. And I'd love to catch up with everybody, but right. He's totally frozen, folks. And this has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Overmark and Wally.